Zenitsu, believe it or not, is a badass. Well, when he's not unconscious, that is. I made a video explaining his journey from being the coward of the show into becoming a fierce warrior with potential to becoming the strongest Hashira by the endgame of the series. Do go check that video out, but here in this video, I want to celebrate how badass of a character Zenitsu is, so I've picked his top 5 most badass moments from the anime so far. Starting with number 5 at episode 12 of season 1 of Demon Slayer, where Zenitsu protects Shuichi from the evil tongue demon. Okay, granted, he did end up fainting before he showed his true epic nature in his sleep fight state, but this was the first time we get to see this side of Zenitsu. We, like Shuichi, were screaming at Zenitsu for him to do something against the tongue demon, but of course he was cowering in fear. And to be fair, at a point, we all expected Tanjiro to show up out of nowhere and him being the one to kill the tongue demon, especially after Zenitsu fainted, but that wasn't the case. Zenitsu rose like a lion and speed blitzes the tongue demon's tongue right off, which proved to us that maybe this Zenitsu guy isn't as annoying as we first thought. Because I won't lie guys, Zenitsu at the beginning before this moment was really annoying. The guy literally complained about every little thing. We have seen characters like him before, and the closest thing to him is Usopp from One Piece. Usopp himself is also annoying, but what both him and Zenitsu have that make us, the audience, root for characters like them is that they're perfectly human. They act and react to situations to how any of us would. Tanjiro, Inosuke, and all the other Hashiras, and you can make the case for some of the Straw Hats in One Piece, especially Zoro, who we see train all the time. They are all at the pinnacle of human talent and physical strength. You can compare them to real-life athletes in a way, who specialize in different sports professionally. And especially the way Tanjiro trained in season 1, you could definitely compare him to an athlete's or a UFC fighter's training schedule. But the everyday human won't have that level of dedication to training. Some of them might actually be scared of the thought of dedicating yourself to training. There are people like that out there. And there are some people who just don't want to train, which was shown to us with Zenitsu and Inosuke, who clearly didn't want to train, whereas Tanjiro did. So even the show itself showcases where characters actually admit they don't want to train, which is perfectly natural. And that's what makes characters like Zenitsu and Usopp so compelling, and you root for them even more. And when they do have a badass moment, you're more excited for them having their moment rather than the main character of the story in some cases. When he woke up into his sleep fight state and we see him kill the tongue demon, we all knew from then on that Zenitsu has ridiculous potential if he overcomes his cowardly nature. And we want him to overcome this character flaw of his, which is why his moments of being a badass stands out ahead of every other character in the series, including Tanjiro himself. Number 4 comes from the Demon Slayer movie, which covers the Mugen Train arc. It's a short moment, but he finally showed Nezuko how badass he can be. The train and his passengers have been taken hostage by Lower Moon 1 Emnu, who even fused with the train at one point in the film. Nezuko, who was awake at the time, tries to fight off parts of Emnu and protect the passengers on board. However, Emnu's body overpowers her and pins her to the ground. Zenitsu then goes to his sleep fight state and saves her, as well as the other passengers, with his thunder breathing technique. This moment showed to us that in the big crucial moment where innocent civilians need to be saved, Zenitsu is up to the task. Because in season 1, they were fighting off against demons in the middle of the forest and in abandoned houses. They weren't really put in a situation where they had to actually save people. I know Zenitsu saved Shuichi before, but I'm talking an entire group of people, not just one person who was already with you. And even then, you ended up fainting, making the kid feel like he was gonna die. So that, in a way, doesn't really count. But here we see for the first time him going into his sleep fight state on purpose in order to save the other passengers as well as Nezuko. We knew Tanjiro had that inner heroic nature about him from the get-go, but with Zenitsu we weren't really too sure. But here, he proved that not only is he a badass, but also a heroic one when he needs to be. Number 3, Zenitsu confronts Starkey. This is one of my favorite Zenitsu moments of all time, and for the first time, he wasn't in his sleep fight state. Starkey is introduced as the main villain our trio will be up against in the Entertainment District arc. She was built up as the big bad as Upper Moon 6. The first time, we're actually fighting the Upper Moon demon, so this is a big deal. We saw how powerful Rui was, and he was a lower moon, whilst Starkey is an upper moon, so the increase in power cannot be underestimated. There's no more room for mistakes now, as these Upper Moon demons are coming close to Muzan's power. Zenitsu hears a resident of the house crying and investigates to see if it's one of Tengen's wives. He finds a young girl in a messy room that belongs to Starkey. Starkey then appears and is annoyed to find her room still in a messy, unclean state with a stranger there. Zenitsu then instantly knows that she's a demon. He is completely frozen in fear, but he does not run. When Starkey takes the girl by the ear, Zenitsu reaches for Starkey's arm and orders her to let go of the little girl. We know that Starkey is Upper Moon 6, however, Zenitsu doesn't know that she is Upper Moon 6. He just suspects that she is a demon, which gets us scared for him when he is confronting Starkey like this. And like I said, Zenitsu is us, the audience, the relatable, normal human character depicted in this show. And he shows the bravery and confidence to stop Starkey right here in this moment, which shows the progression of his character. In instances before, when we would be scared for Zenitsu, he would also be scared with us, the audience. However, now and in this moment where he confronts Starkey, we are still scared for him, but he isn't. I mean, he's still scared, but he won't let his fear stop him from confronting Starkey. Compare that to episode 12 of season 1, where he faints in fear, but now he is confronting an Upper Moon demon regardless of what happens to him. This is the version of Zenitsu that we have all been crying out for. Before, we would all be annoyed and think, when will this guy stop being a wimp and show the world how badass he is? He showed the world in the first season the monstrous potential he has. He showed to us in the movie that he can be a hero and protect others around him. And in the Entertainment District arc, he showed everyone that he is brave enough to not only confront an Upper Moon demon, but defeat one as well. And speaking of, number 2 has to be when he unleashed Godspeed against Starkey. He was willing to sacrifice his legs by unleashing this move, and not only that, he had to hold Starkey at Godspeed for the precise moment which aligned with Tanjiro when he is about to slice Gyataro. Zenitsu had to hold on against Starkey for all that time whilst having his legs in ridiculous pain. This was skill, bravery, focus of mind, everything you want in a character at the peak of their powers. And the scary thing is, Zenitsu still has ways to go. He is nowhere near his full potential yet, and he is pulling off moves like Godspeed. Yeah, this move is too good, and is arguably the strongest move out of our main trio. It just looks so cool, man. It's like he's in another dimension when he does the move. It's like the move from Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta's final flash attack, but instead of a thunderous beam being released, it's like Zenitsu is inside the beam itself and is moving at the speed of light. Zenitsu didn't manage to cut Starkey's head off, but when he actually gets to a point where he can slice people's head with that move off, the hype for Zenitsu would be ridiculous. I can't wait to see him fully master Godspeed. And finally, number 1. I'm pretty sure you have all guessed it by now. It's episode 17 of season 1 where Zenitsu defeats the spider demon. Everything about this moment in the backstory with his grandpa, Zenitsu admitting that he is a coward and that only his grandpa had any faith in him, the animation, the music, the time limit for Zenitsu before he fully becomes a spider, which added tension and stakes to the fight. This moment had it all. And when he unleashed his thunderclap and flash, defeating the spiders and then slicing the spider demon's head clean off, it became an internet-breaking moment and cemented Zenitsu as a fan-favorite character in the whole series. You can even make the argument that this moment with Zenitsu is even more badass than the moment with Tanjiro when he unleashed Hinokami Kagura in episode 19. But that's a debate for another day. But what do you guys think of Zenitsu and his character? Let me know in the comments down below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to the Shaman Tribe.